Havakazoo, 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 Jason! Havakazoo, Gabrielle! Havakazoo, Bo! Havakazoo, Messi! Havakazoo, 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 Havakazoo.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Havakazoo. I hope you're feeling all right. I've heard there's a bit of a cold going round and I'd hate for you to catch it. So, if you're given the chance to catch a cold, I'd drop it if I were you. One thing I would never drop is this painting by Sam Jeffrey of Bishop Stortford, who's 7 years old. Good morning to you, Sam. You've done a fabulous picture of Mr. Nosey. Look at the length of his nose. It's enormous. In the picture, he's going into his house. Let's hope he doesn't have any trouble getting his nose through the doorway. Look, the way you've done those bricks in the wall is so lifelike. Drawing must be one of your favourite things to do. And you're obviously a big fan of the Mr. Men because your note says that you collect Mr. Men books. Wow, what a great hobby. Well, keep watching because in a moment you'll be able to watch another superb episode of those excitable Mr. Men. First, let me ask you a question. Have you ever flown a kite? I have, and I loved it. I really enjoyed pulling all the strings. I haven't got a clue how kites work, though. Perhaps they're just very clever. It must be lovely to be a kite, flying about through the air. People normally fly kites from the top of a hill. The Mr. Men are no exception. And when they go to the top of a hill to fly their kite, everything should be perfect. Except Mr. Tickle keeps spoiling it for everybody. However, Mr. Clever comes up with a solution. Let's see what he thinks of in Mr. Clever Flies His Kite.
Mr. Clever flies his kite. It was a very windy morning when Mr. Clever called at Two Pin Cottage. Good morning, Miss Neat.
What's good about it? There are leaves on the path, twigs on the grass. My garden is a mess.
It's a good day for flying kites, though.
I hadn't thought of that. All deck, then?
Where's your kite, Miss Neat?
Right here, Mr. Clever. Off we go, then.
So Mr. Clever and little Miss Neat set off to find their friends. I made my kite from a map, you know.
That's clever, Mr. Clever.
It's so the kite doesn't get lost.
Very clever, Mr. Clever.
It is rather. When they got to the top of Windy Hill, the first person they saw was Mr. Greedy. Morning, Mr. Clever. Morning, Mr. Greedy. I'm flying all my kites today. Hello, Mr. Mean. That's a very strange kite you got there.
Looks like your old vest and a couple of sticks.
Don't be stupid. It's not my vest. I found it in my neighbour's bin.
Then they met Mr. Muddle. Mr. Muddle. Then they met Mr. Forgetful. I'm sure I came up here to do something. I wonder what it was. Mr. Tall, of course, spent most of his time untangling everyone's kites. Hello, Mr. Clever. Even little Miss Naughty was there.
Here comes Miss Bossy. Mind, out of the way, please. I can't possibly fly my kite with everyone.
Mr. Clever and little Miss Neat started flying their own kites. But just as they did, they heard someone call. It's little Miss Tiny. Don't worry, Miss Tiny. I've got you. Oh, yeah. Oh, help, help.
It's Mr. Small.
Help, help, please, someone. Help. Thank you, Mr. Tall. Not at all, Mr. Small. Later on, when the wind was blowing harder than ever, Mr. Tickle arrived.
No, Mr. Tickle, stop it, please.
Oh, Mr. Tickle, stop it. You're giving me tummy ache.
Now look what you've done. 2p that cost me, Mr. Tickle.
Mr. Clever soon realized that if Mr. Tickle carried on tickling everyone, it would spoil the whole day. What's needed here is one of my very clever plans. At lunchtime, Mr. Clever and all his friends sat down to a lovely picnic. All his friends, that is, except for one. Friends with long arms and tickly fingers need to be kept busy at lunchtime, don't they, Miss Neat?
They do, Mr. Clever. More cake, anyone?
And by the time they'd finished lunch, Mr. Tickle was so tired that he couldn't even lift his arms. And he certainly couldn't tickle anyone. Goodbye, Mr. Tickle. Look, he hasn't even got the strength to wave back. Goodbye, goodbye. Yes, goodbye. Yes, goodbye.
Mr. Tickle.
Hey, goodbye, Mr. Tickle.
Goodbye, Mr. Tickle.
Goodbye, Mr. Tickle. And thanks to one of Mr. Clever's cleverest ideas, they all had one of the best windy afternoons that anyone in Mr. Land could ever remember.
What a good idea! But I suppose that's why Mr. Clever is called Mr. Clever, and I'm called Missy. Time now for a quick joke. What's the difference between a television and a newspaper? Go on, have a think about this. What's the difference between a television and a newspaper? Any ideas? Shall I tell you? Have you ever tried swatting a fly with a television? That's a clever joke, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, we could do with Mr. Clever at Havakazoo. He'd help us out of all sorts of problems. One thing we won't need help with is watching Anytime Tales. You know, when this comes on, everybody crowds around the telly. You can hardly get a little orange and yellow robot in edgeways. But I always manage it. Today's Anytime Tale is called Elmer.
Elmer. There was once a herd of elephants. Elephants young, elephants old, elephants tall or fat or thin. Elephants like this, that, or the other, all different, but all happy and all the same colour. All, that is, except Elmer. Elmer was different. Elmer was patchwork. Elmer was yellow and orange and red and pink and purple and blue and green and black and white. Elmer was not elephant colour. It was Elmer who kept the elephants happy. Sometimes he joked with the other elephants. Sometimes they joked with him. But if there was even a little smile, it was usually Elmer who started it. One night, Elmer couldn't sleep for thinking. And the thing that he was thinking was that he was tired of being different. Who ever heard of a patchwork elephant, he thought. No wonder they laugh at me. In the morning, before the others were really awake, Elmer slipped quietly away, unnoticed. As he walked through the jungle, Elmer met other animals. They always said, "Good morning, Elmer." Each time Elmer smiled and said, "Good morning." After a long walk, Elmer found what he was looking for, a large bush. A large bush covered with berries. A large bush covered with elephant-coloured berries. Elmer caught hold of the bush and shook it so that the berries fell on the ground. Once the ground was covered in berries, Elmer lay down and rolled over and over, this way and that way and back again. Then he picked up bunches of berries and rubbed himself all over, covering himself with berry juice until there wasn't any sign of any yellow or orange or red or pink or purple or blue or green or black or white. When he'd finished, Elmer looked like any other elephant. After that, Elmer set off back to the herd. On the way, he passed the other animals again. This time, each one said to him, "Good morning, elephant." And each time Elmer smiled and said, "Good morning," pleased that he wasn't recognized. When Elmer rejoined the other elephants, they were all standing quietly. None of them noticed Elmer as he worked his way to the middle of the herd. After a while, Elmer felt that something was wrong. But what? He looked around. Same old jungle, same old bright sky, same old rain cloud that came over from time to time. And lastly, same old elephants. Elmer looked at them. The elephants were standing absolutely still. Elmer had never seen them so serious before. The more he looked at the serious, silent, still, standing elephants, the more he wanted to laugh. Finally, he could bear it no longer. He lifted his trunk, and at the top of his voice, he shouted, The elephants jumped and fell always in surprise. "Oh my gosh and golly," they said. Then saw Elmer, helpless with laughter. "Elmer," they said. "It must be Elmer." Then the other elephants laughed too, as they had never laughed before. As they laughed, the rain cloud burst. And when the rain fell on Elmer, his patchwork started to show again. The elephants still laughed as Elmer was washed back to normal. "Oh, Elmer," gasped an old elephant. "Oh, you've played some good jokes, but this has been the biggest laugh of all. It didn't take you long to show your true colors, eh?" "We must celebrate this day every year," said another. This will be Elmer's day. All elephants must decorate themselves, and Elmer will decorate himself elephant colour. That is exactly what the elephants do. On one day a year, they decorate themselves and parade. On that day, if you happen to see an elephant, ordinary elephant colour, you will know it must be Elmer.
Another fabulous story. That must be one of the best stories I've ever seen. I should start running a competition to pick out the best stories. Mind you, I enjoy so many of them, I'd have loads of joint firsts, and there wouldn't be enough prizes to go round to everyone who deserved one. Now, here's a letter from Sebastian Crick from Devon. He wants to see Jason juggle 6 Cornish pasties in one go. Now, Sebastian, we thought we'd show you this. So Gabrielle went out and bought 6 Cornish pasties. It came to the time when Jason was just about to juggle and he couldn't find them anywhere. We looked all over the windy mill, but they were nowhere to be seen. In the end, Vo admitted that they had disappeared because of him. Yes, that's right. You guessed it. He'd eaten them all. So we'll try another time, Sebastian. Maybe next time you should suggest that Jason juggles with something like scarves or paintbrushes, so at least Vo won't eat them. It must be said that Vo wolfed those pies down very quickly. It's a shame he couldn't have taken a leaf out of Mr. Slow's book, because he moves very slowly all the time. Mr. Slow is the slowest Mr. Man you'd ever see. In fact, he's so slow you could be sitting there waiting for him to come on, and he might never arrive. He'll still be on his way. Let's hope he's made it by now. Shall we find out?
Thank goodness for Mr. Slow.
Hurry, everyone, hurry! This way to the starting line of the great Mr. Land Motor Race. All drivers must report to me, Miss Bossy. Mr. Bunny in his shoe car. Mr. Nosy. Even if your car's slow, you could win by a nose. And Mr. Rush in his fast sports car. Hurry along, drivers. The race for big prize money starts very soon.
Big prize money, oh, that's for me. Get a move on there, slow coach. Come on, or we'll miss the race.
I can see your mother never taught you manners, Mr. Uppity. A good driver is a courteous driver.
Rubbish. Courteous drivers come in last. Rude drivers win races.
Do you really think you can win this race, Mr. Silly? Have you ever thought of round wheels?
Round wheels? Round wheels? Now that is silly.
That you, Mr. Clever?
Indeed it is, Miss Bossy.
Off you go. Drive carefully.
See you at the finish. Bye-bye.
You'll have to go faster than that, Mr. Slow, or you won't have a chance. Drivers, are you ready? Then go!
Stay where you are, everyone, until the smoke clears. If we try to drive, we'll hit one another.
It's not fair. Mr. Uppity is cheating.
By the time they find they're on the wrong road, I'll be counting my prize money.
Oh, there you are now, Mrs. Bean. £6 of potatoes. Better keep off the road. Those racing cars will be coming through very soon. And remember, Miss Naughty, no naughty tricks today. Potatoes! Get your nice fresh baking potatoes here.
Someone has changed those signs. They're pointing the wrong way.
And that someone is Mr. Uppity. He's going to win this race.
Come on, everyone. Don't give up. He hasn't won yet. Let's go.
I wonder what would happen if I pulled one of these.
You there. Are you in charge of these potatoes?
Not really, Mr. Uppity. I just work here.
Well, move them. They're in my way. Come along.
No, I won't. You're rude. Besides, there are too many.
Well, there's no way we're going to get through this unless... Hurry, Mr. Slow, this way. What about me? I was in the lead.
Haven't you heard? Rude drivers don't win races, Mr. Uppity. I'm truly sorry, Farmer Fields. I didn't think I'd cause so much trouble.
Well, I'll forgive you this time, but you mustn't do that again. Anyway, I can still sell my potatoes. Potatoes? Mashed potatoes! Get your mashed potatoes already mashed!
I declare Mr. Slow the winner.
Well done, Mr. Slow.
Hooray for Mr. Slow.
Oh, good old Mr. Slow. Or should I say, Mr. Fast?
Mr. Slow get his steamroller from? It's not something you would keep in the garage, is it? Well, I suppose you would if you were a steamroller driver, but apart from that, you wouldn't. I suppose Mr. Slow had one because it's the slowest vehicle you can get. It's even slower than a milk float, and that's really slow. I'm too young to drive, but if I had a vehicle, it would have to be a small, colourful one, just like me. I don't really need a vehicle, though, because I've already got wheels, and I don't need any more. I like rolling around quickly, but not too quickly, because that can be scary sometimes. Well, now it's time for a picture. Why? Because I said so, that's why. And because it's from Emily Juniper from Welling in Kent. Ah, what a lovely name. And she sent me a picture of me and a flower and loads of love. Ah, thank you, Emily. Loads of love back to you, too. Look at Emily's picture, isn't it lovely? And she's drawn my telephone there, and my paintbrushes and my pencils, and she's even managed to draw my wheels. They can be a bit difficult to see, can't they, Emily? And look at those two big flowers. Ah, thanks very much for that, Emily. Well, it's nearly time to go, but not before we've heard a joke or two. See what you make of these. What vegetables are found in boats? Any ideas? Go on, have a guess. What vegetables are found in boats? Shall I tell you? Leeks! That's a good joke, isn't it? Hey, here's another one. What's black and white and black and white and black and white? Do you know? Have a good think about this. What is black and white and black and white and black and white? Shall I tell you? It's a penguin rolling down a hill. Oh, I love jokes. And if you have any jokes, pictures, paintings or drawings, why not send them to me here at Havakazoo? The address will be coming up in a minute, so get your grown-up to write it down for you. Oh, Bo, I love this song. Can we sing it together?
Yeah, come on, miss. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
my dog Sam,
my dog Sam. Oh, what a peculiar animal. My dog Sammy, Sammy, my dog Sam. My dog Sam. Oh, what a peculiar animal. My dog Sam.